The Cheating Death Podcast is a satirical program containing objective, direct, transparent, nonpartisan, unbiased information about everything and anything under the sun. We are not political and we are not religious. We may be a bit analytical and perhaps a bit litigious, but given the nature of today's circumstances, one must understand that there are so many ways to cheat the system, but we tell you how you can cheat death. On today's episode of the Cheating Death Podcast, the gloves have come off. We have now reached a point of this program to where we are going to be a little bit more vigilant, a little bit more vehement when it comes to the delivery of certain expectations. So this episode is going to focus around refusing to stagnate, the developments and the ideologies that will insist that you wage war upon your inner turmoil and you do what you can to figure it out and rise above. Of course, we provide an all-new Annihilation Announcement, a new business spotlight, joke of the episode, top 5 iced fruit beverages, and of course, we have much, much more in store for you. So, dear listener, by now you absolutely know what to do. Kick your shoes off, put them up on that damn table, and grab yourself an iced coffee, because it is time for us to tell you how you can cheat death. Willkommen, meine Freunde. Guten Morgen, guten Tag und eine gute Nacht. Hier ist deine Reisende und deine Ausländer, deine Allesfresser, deine wenigste Schauspieler. Und ich bin einer, der sicher echt. Heute ist ein schöner Tag. Because today, dear listeners, we are getting into the nitty-gritty and the granular details of what it is like to refuse to stagnate, to refuse to accept complacency. Because we notice, as per the terms and modern drain of society, that there are so many individuals across this great land in whom are so complacent, in whom are completely happy and settled with where they are in life. And don't get me wrong, being happy and being settled with your life is an absolutely tremendous thing. Being able to look at yourself in the mirror and be happy with who you are and where you are is an absolutely outstanding gift that I do not think anyone should take for granted. However, we also do everything that we can to marginalize those other people in whom try to reach similar thresholds to us. We do everything we can as a species to keep others down. We always try to make excuses for the reasons why we do not reach certain thresholds and goals. And instead of improving our position, whether it be mentally, psychologically, emotionally, or psychiatrically, we instead choose to make excuses. We instead choose to go along down the road of no return and of no responsibility. This is probably one of the most detrimental and destructive things that any human individual can do to themselves upon this gravitational and existential plane. We always focus on what we can do and what we can say versus what we should do and what we should say. We always look at the things that hold us back as being areas of opportunity or obstacles to which may or may not be insurmountable, but we as a species look towards the sun for answers in a time when all we have to do is look inside ourselves. Note to yourself and to your mind that when you take an opportunity to grow, to change, to evolve, to learn something new, to actually be a decent member of society, these particular pillars are imperative to understanding and evolving. Stagnation is the enemy of all organisms and of all mankind. You take into account what happens in the wild when an animal becomes complacent, they get snatched, consumed, destroyed, life over. Such is similar when it comes to the humanity of our current situation. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, if there was a hunter-gatherer in whom just wanted to sit around and look at a tablet and write on a leaf, they were left to die because they contributed absolutely nothing to the group. They contributed absolutely nothing to the evolution of their entity in which they had seen for themselves and to which they had become accustomed to grow within a family, a community, and a tribe. These were the ways of survival. These were the ways that our species just so happened to win the galactic lottery to get to the point of where we are now, to where we're all looking in these magic bricks and able to communicate with anyone and everyone all across each and every single land. There are a significant level of disparities when it comes to the points of contention that each and every single one of these individuals who shares these particular values and or ideologies has. One would argue that if you have reached a certain point, why can't you just relax and stagnate and just drift through life? Simple, because life was not meant to drift through. Life was meant to challenge, to test, to completely throttle you in ways that you never thought possible. For if you are given an easy ride through life, you are not living life, you are drifting. You are existing. And at the end of your life, when you do pass away, and when the final bell tolls upon your meager existence, understand, dear listener, we are speaking from a place of experience. The afterlife will not treat you well. The afterlife will indeed consume your soul and put you into a pattern of repetition to where you will have no memory. You will have absolutely no idea as to why you keep repeating the same patterns and formats over and over and over and over again. The idea and the understanding that what you do with your time on this planet has meaning is not lost on the vast majority of those in whom have lived throughout this planet and this time. Entities and individuals in whom have been nothing but avaricious and evil ultimately further serve to have their lives and their souls completely ruined in the afterlife. Near-death experiences and anyone who has been clinically dead alongside yours truly can absolutely tell you that if you, as a person, choose to waste this life, and you choose to go forth and make horrible decisions that harm other people and impact people in a negative way, you will not escape that unscathed. If you get away with a crime and you just so happen to get to the end of your life without being served justice in this realm, there will be justice awaiting you on the other side, and which will be far longer and far more substantial than that of anything that you could have faced in Earth realm. Refusing to stagnate is understandably hard, difficult, not easy to address, but it is something that we must acknowledge. It is something that we must do as a species. We must continue to grow. We must continue to thrive. We must continue to move forward and wage war, because if we choose not to, the ultimate ending for us is nothing but a sequence of repetition. And as a man, as a human, in whom has seen the other side twice, as an individual in whom has had his life spoiled for him, regardless of how long he lives, his end and his afterlife will look the same. This is a man in whom knows he is not going to a heaven, knows he is not going to a hell, knows he is not going to a purgatory. I have already been told what my soul and what my life and what my existence and consciousness will do after this realm. And there is no fear in my heart. There is no fear in my soul. And even before these particular exchanges and events, my decision to try to make the world a better place, no matter how that looked, was in cement, permanently encased in concrete. And there's absolutely nothing that will take place throughout this life that will change that. Because we are an organization that works endlessly and tirelessly to ensure that those around are absolutely aware of their capabilities and just how beautiful they are. However, if you find yourself in a position where you are surrounded by individuals who only care about themselves, do your soul a favor and depart the despair. At the end of the day, you must refuse to stagnate, because the very principle of life is to grow. Thank you for tuning in today. Take care of yourselves and each other. This is your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this is your Annihilation Announcement. Over the course of the years, in identifying the specific points of contention within the societal norms that we find ourselves in, we constantly evaluate and ask ourselves questions that we do not dare ask others. However, there is also a certain segment of the population that absolutely vehemently and ardently refuses to accept anything outside of their values and belief systems. Why? Is it because that they are incapable of accepting and identifying and acknowledging the specifics of the differences of the people in whom they are debating or discussing with? No. It is predominantly because these individuals have such a shield around their minds and their hearts that in no way, shape, or form do they truly understand what it is to identify what it is when they reach a level of no return. When you are attempting to go forth and socialize and make a new realm and a new environment for yourself, is it that you are trying to do so for the benefit of other people, or are you trying to do so because you feel less alone? We as a society have reached a point where so many people are so complacent and so done with the point that we need to do everything that we possibly can to teach these people that the world does not exist solely for them. The world does not exist solely and specifically for them to go about and to utilize people to their advantage. Speaking specifically about individuals in whom go to restaurants and or customer service facilities or retail stores and do absolutely nothing but vehemently and ardently abuse the staff when they do not get what they want. Individuals in whom chastise those servers and or cooks because they may or may not have messed up a small little detail. Note, dear listener, that if you behave in this manner, you are an absolutely atrocious human being and you need to evaluate your life. We, as a species, have become far too comfortable with saying things that we would not say things directly to people's faces without consequence. We as a species have reached a point to where no one, absolutely no one, truly and fully understands the depths of depravity, more so than our own minds, yet a good percentage of the population, at least 85 to 90% of them, vehemently refuse to go inside of their own heads to fix the problems that they seek answers for. This is predominantly because a lot of people have reached a point in their lives to where they're either exhausted and refuse to move forward or refuse to grow, or they feel that they have reached the end of their rope and they make excuses for themselves. They continue to try to find ways to ultimately deify themselves and remove themselves from any sort of acceptability or consequence based on their actions, based on their circumstances, and based on the overall situational experiences in which they go under every single day. There is no easy answer to anything in life. We have said this dozens and dozens and dozens of times on this program, but it's true. The only reason it's easy for some people is because they still have families in whom are able to bankroll their entire lives. There are people in whom have been able to go through university and or colleges with no external stress, therefore making their studies easy, not complicated, and the only thing that they have to focus on. Yet, in those scenarios, those people still find reason to complain. Those people still find reason to identify struggles within their study and issues with their schedule because they just can't be bothered to change the very notion and the ideologies that their brains are attached to, their value systems, their beliefs, their moral systems, their convictions, their regular everyday routines. It reaches a point of ad nauseum when you see for yourself the depravity and the depths and the differences and the dichotomy of society. You have people in whom are dying on the street all through mental illness and or drug abuse, and a large majority of them have gotten there through extenuating life circumstances. These days in North America, if you get injured and if you're without work for a period of 6 to 12 months, consider yourself written off. Doesn't matter how long you've saved, doesn't matter how hard you've worked, and it doesn't matter how hard you tried. Inevitably, it will come for you too. So at the end of the day, when it takes time away from your soul and it takes time away from your life in order to do something to increase the life of another person, understand that you are in a position to make life better for other people. You have abilities within your soul that bring you to a level that no other human is able to reach, and yet still you sit there. You ask yourself, what can people do for me? How can people praise me today? How about you get up off your ass, look yourself in the mirror, and you do something about it? You do something that's worth praise. You do something that is worth celebrating, instead of doing the bare minimum and expecting people to give you golf claps because of the reality of which that you just completed the most rudimentary task. Understand, dear listener, we are 8.3 billion people strong on this planet, and the competitive edge in most continents has reached a zenith. We must get to a point to where we, as a species, work together. We must fight together. We must not wage war against each other, because that, in and of itself, is the very beast of burden that we all try to avoid. But yet, there are a lot of individuals in whom try to avoid this very notion because it makes them realize that they, at the end of the day, when they die, no matter how hard they try, they are alone. You cannot take your wealth with you. You cannot take your friends with you. You cannot take your family with you. So why would you spend your life being apathetic, being absolutely drifting, and just trying in every way, shape, or form to make excuses and to not be someone in whom ascends? You must refuse to stagnate, and that is the bottom line. This has been your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this has been your Annihilation Announcement. At the top of today's episode, we promised you a list of 5 more iced fruit drinks that will wet your palate and give you an opportunity to enjoy your breezy day. Coming in at number 5, we have an iced blueberry latte. Coming in at number 4, we, of course, have the absolutely delicious frozen strawberry lemonade. Coming in at number 3, we have the raspberry sour. Coming in at number 2, we have the strawberry banana daiquiri. And, of course, coming in at number 1, for all of those in whom love them so very much, we have the chalky milkshake. What are your top 5? Email us at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. Today's joke has been brought to you by the Cleric of Chaos. Oftentimes we look at ourselves in the mirror and we ask ourselves many questions, but we never get an answer. Perhaps it is because we are looking in the wrong mirror or in the wrong angle, or it could just be because we are all out of the glass. On today's Business Spotlight, once again brought to you by CRDVC. Are you looking for a consultant to provide you with event management, hosting, and or event organization? Perhaps you are a corporation looking to save money on your employee retention and increase your ROI. By all means, we are an absolutely universal and diverse consulting agency who provides a litany of solutions at an exceptionally cost-effective value. Email us at clericvonchaos@gmail.com and mention the Cheating Death Podcast for 25 to 50% off of your first program. Dear listeners, are you sick and tired of online predators getting away with communicating with the vulnerable and with the disenfranchised? Well, look no further than professional wrestler, powerlifter, and predator catcher extraordinaire Douglas Mallow. Follow him on his Instagram at just_the_epic and his YouTube, and be sure to follow youtube.com/@scalingupcatches for all of his and Eric's recent predator catches, to where they do their best to help keep the most vulnerable of our society safe. Are you looking for a way to have a laugh and have a good time all the while forgetting about your problems? By all means, Wednesday through Sunday at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. at 814 Bloor Street West in Toronto, Ontario, Canada is the Backroom Comedy Club, run by Brandon Sobel and team. They also have a beautiful comedy dojo where if you are an aspiring comedian, you may sign up for a program to which will enlighten you and teach you how to write a joke properly. Though if you are an audience member and you are looking just to have a good time and relax from the slings and the arrows of the mired beast that is life, by all means head on down. The tickets are cost effective and the drinks are absolutely phenomenal and the food in the restaurant above is pulchritudinous. So what are you waiting for? Take an opportunity to head on over to Backroom Comedy Club and subscribe to their Instagram today at Backroom Comedy Club on Instagram. Are you looking to hit up another comedy show in the same evening and within the same distance? By all means, 30 units away at 844 Bloor Street West is your go-to. For Keys Comedy Club takes place on multiple evenings throughout the week. KeysComedyClub.com has access to all of your cost-effective tickets and solutions for all upcoming shows and dates and venues as well. Follow Key Epic on Instagram at Keys Comedy Club and bookmark KeysComedyClub.com for your up-to-date ticket information. Of course, where would we be without Dundas Shawarma at 768 on Dundas Street West in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, open daily from midnight to the hours that we all see fit. Starting at the opening hour of noon, they have plenty of specials, both pizza and shawarma, that will fit your variety and absolute decadence to a T. Take advantage of their Too Good To Go special where you can get a delicious shawarma wrap for just $6, or take part in their combos where you can get 2 Tehushka wraps for $18.99. Either which way, the choice is yours, dear listeners. Head on down to Dundas Shawarma today. And of course, where would we be without our friends at the W Burger Bar on 10 College Street, open 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. each and every single day, 2 a.m. being last call. Understand, dear listeners, that they have a beautiful $9.99 special for a burger and fries, fishbowl cocktails starting at $9.99, and frozen cocktails starting at $6.99. Open 7 days a week, so head on down to 10 College Street today. If you would like your business featured on the Business Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, by all means, email us at clericronchaos@gmail.com or the cheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. Mention the podcast and get 25 to 50% off your first advertising program. Remember, when it comes to your business, it is no one's business but your business. The very notion of taking accountability is subjective to other people and to within oneself. The notion that each and every single one of us are alive in this current era, and each of us have access to unbridled communication, technology, and information, the likes of which people hundreds and thousands of years ago were only able to access if they went to monolithic libraries. You, dear listener, are grateful for everything that you have come upon, for everything that you have achieved, or maybe you are not. Maybe you are one of these individuals in whom seeks a bit more. Perhaps there is a possibility that you need to look inside yourself and understand exactly what it is that keeps you from getting to the levels that you want to get to. Creating an emotional response within yourself for something that is a tangibly realistic, quantitative, achievable goal is not going to serve your benefit. What you must do in these conditions and in these circumstances is you must work within your limitations and you must try to rise above. You must try to grow. There are no easy ways for you to reach a certain level unless you have a firm support and or network structure. It is no secret that this podcast is for anyone and everyone in whom wishes to better themselves or improve themselves, but there is only so much one can do when you are looking externally, when you decide to take the brave step and the courageous motion to look inside of your soul, to look inside of what you dwell upon on a daily basis. Only then will you truly see the reality that is before you. Only then will you truly understand exactly why it is that the world continues to spin while completely apathetic to the individuals and organisms that dwell within it. We are all on a blue sphere spinning 1,000 miles per second, all in the upper echelons of the Milky Way galaxy. Do you have any idea how fortunate and how lucky you are to be here? Yet some of you choose to take that time and make life more difficult for other people, all the while not looking internally and understanding that the very extent of your sociological and perhaps even economical concerns result from a lack of effort, a lack of consistency. And the worst part about it all is that you are in a world where the vast majority of people who work harder than you are subject to the slings and the arrows of the mired beast that is avarice, greed, malice, and absolute chicanery. You are an individual in whom is listening to this program and is capable of forming a coherent thought. So, instead of subjecting yourself to the brain rot, and instead of subjecting yourself to the continuous destruction of the lexicon, do what you can, take accountability, and stand up for yourself. And be a better person for those around you. Because one day, you will look around to an empty room, and you will ask yourself why, and the only answers will be in the place that you are afraid to seek. Thank you for tuning in today. Take care of yourselves and each other. The Cheating Death Podcast is brought to you by Nachem Liebens CRDVC, Cleric of Chaos, and where you may find all podcasts on all platforms. If you'd like to support the program, you may do so by purchasing merch, a cameo, or by making a one-time donation at the links in the episodes and in the podcast description. Please follow us at youtube.com/@clericofchaos and youtube.com/@weallcheatdeath, twitter.com/@clericofchaos, and twitter.com/weallcheatdeath. And please be sure to follow all of our pinned profile post consultants, producers, and associate members. If you or anyone you know is experiencing gambling, abuse, substance withdrawal, or any type of emergency, please consult the telephone numbers listed in the episodes and in the podcast description. They're all open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and are available to take your call. If you were looking at adopting a playful puppy or a cute kitten, please visit your local animal adoption rescue center. They are in dire need of your support. While you are doing so, please go to yummypets.com/voice. Sign up for an account and click the button every day so you can be sure that a cat and dog shelter will be able to acquire 330 pounds of kibble at the end of every month at no cost to you. Dear listener, we understand that life is not easy, and we understand that each day is a grind. You are going to find yourself in positions to where you never thought you were before. You are going to keep pushing yourself, and you are going to keep asking yourself why you continue to try. But all that matters is that you move forth, you wage war, and you find what it is that you are looking for. Remember, we're pulling for you. We're all in this together.